Welcome to the Lowdown. This is GhanaWeb's new talk show focusing on important current affairs, social and political issues. My name is Ismail Akwe, and today we are discussing the state of leadership in Ghana, the government's accountability, and the activism status of the country. Our guest is a man of words and action. He has been in and out of government as a deputy minister for 7 years, and he is currently an opposition member of parliament for North Tongu. Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa will give us the lowdown after this break. It is a special treat for you to spend an hour with Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Welcome, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming. So the last time we met, I remember it was at the Day of Shame, which is on 24 February when Kwame Nkrumah was ousted. So GIJ organized an event to mark that day. And you said one thing which was quite interesting. You said GhanaWeb always uses an ugly picture of yours when your issue comes up in the news. So how is it now? Because I'm sure you've been seeing so many nice pictures of yours. You're looking so good, and I guess Parliament is treating you well.
You do remember very well.
Yeah.
But let me commend you and the team at GhanaWeb for the tremendous job you're doing. I think that as the foremost news portal, you have distinguished yourself, and I like the innovations that you have introduced, especially promoting tourism, arts and culture, and the recalls that you carry out, reminding us of our history, our heritage. It's really commendable, and I can only wish you well and urge you on to keep at it. We all come to you for authentic news, and I like the wide array and how you also project other, if you like, lesser known media outlets. Once they've done a good job, they put out a story which is worth following on a bigger platform like yours. You are able to give them the needed recognition, and we all are able to, at a click of the button, follow a wide spectrum of news from across the country, including our thinking in the diaspora. So you're doing a great job, and you deserve high praise for what
Thank you very much. We're very happy about that. And you are also doing a good job. We've been very busy and with accountability and the rest. So how is Parliament treating you? Because there are so many things that are coming up, and most of them are coming from your quarters because you write a lot and you always probe things.
Yeah. I mean, I think that if you want to be an effective member of Parliament, you have to be versatile, particularly for a developing country like ours. You cannot say that you will be a member of Parliament who focuses only on lawmaking. So you must have a part of you that develops the ability to be an agent for development, how to lobby for projects, how to pursue initiatives which will ease the burden that your constituents have. And so I make sure that I roll out quite a good number of initiatives and interventions that will satisfy that yearning demand. So that's one aspect of your work. Then there is the lawmaking aspect, and you have to show diligence. You have to make sure you take interest in the various stages that a bill goes through to become law. And so that's your primary role as a member of Parliament, as we all know constitutionally. Then you also have to remember that there is a third aspect of your work, which is to offer a countervailing force. And these are theories that the likes of Thomas Hobbes, the likes of Montesquieu have propounded, where the three arms of government exist to checkmate each other. So you always must be conscious that as a member of parliament, you must carry out that oversight responsibility to ensure that particularly the executive is not going out of line, is not being excessive with the use of its power. And I think that if you look at our current constitutional arrangement, the executive is too powerful. We have given so much power to the president and to the executive arm, and so you realize that the two other arms are wobbly, and particularly with the legislative arm, which so much is expected. You notice that because of our hybrid system, where the Constitution requires the president to appoint majority of his ministers from parliament, that provision has created a situation where many people go to parliament, particularly when their party is in power, to catch the eye of the president to be appointed ministers. As soon as the ministerial list is concluded and they don't make it to the list, you see a lot of despondency. You see a sense that people are not really upbeat about the work of a member of parliament. Whereas elsewhere, you have career legislators, 30 years, 40 years. I mean, they are just committed to their legislative duty, and they intend to just focus on that and make sure they make a mark and leave a legacy, and they do not hesitate at all to keep the executive in check. So in this country, you have an overbearing, a marauding executive who has been given so much power by the Constitution. So if you are a member of parliament and you want to be conscientious, you want to work in the national interest, you want to ensure that in this country we are able to build for ourselves a democracy that works for the people, a functioning democracy, a democracy that does not just exist on paper, a democracy where we can say that the principles of checks and balances, the doctrine of countervailing forces is really at play and it's performing well, then you must ensure that as a member of parliament, you are fearless, you are forthright, you have integrity, you are not compromised, and you pursue what you must pursue so that the executive knows that if we overstep our boundaries, particularly in the fight against corruption, if we carry out, if you like, contracting or procurement in ways that are opaque, that do not meet the, if you like, remits of the law and the standards so far as transparency and accountability are concerned, there are some people who with their vigilant eyes will fish you out and you will be held accountable. You will be embarrassed in the process and you will be sanctioned. You will pay the price, I mean, if you like. So I think that is the aspect of a member of parliament's work that we need to really promote. And we need to build the parliamentary institution so strongly, build the capacity elsewhere. Members of parliament, if you go to Kenya, you go to South Africa, you go to the West, you know that already. Yeah. I mean, it's a whole office, and you have scholars. You know, there's a budget. You have people who have needed expertise. They even have resources to be able to employ, recruit people with particular expertise to pursue certain matters. Here, for a long time, it was just a one-man office. Under Professor Michael Quay, we made progress by getting one research assistant, which Speaker Bagbin has continued. But that is woefully inadequate. But you must, again, be conscious of that and not say that because of that limitation, you will also limit your impact. So what some of us have done is that we still reach out. We have still on our own accord recruited more people within our staffing arrangements. Yeah. Because there's no law that bars us from doing that. But back to the...
We'll soon come to your role in terms of accountability after this break. Okay. And then we'll also talk about other things, including your mood in Parliament right now. Okay. So we'll be back after this break. This is the Lowdown.
From the dawn of time, people have engaged in several businesses. With the onset of technology and innovation, life has relatively been made easier. By using debit or credit cards,
mobile banking.
Thank you. And your favorite, mobile money?
tech has indeed married business. On BizTech, we spend time with faces behind known and upcoming businesses in the country.
Learn more about the new technologies and innovation,
as well as find out about the trending issues in the world of business.
Join us as we serve you with a variety of compelling interviews, projects and others right here on GhanaWeb TV.
Welcome back to the Lowdown. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we have here Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. He is the MP for North Tongu, and we're just talking about your role as an accountability checker, if I can say that, in Parliament. And you've been very, very busy in doing that. You've already given us a history of the work of a parliamentarian and also what you do in your constituency, being accountable or checking the accountability of the executive and the other arms of government. So you were telling us about the accountability role, and currently you are an unearthed one, and it was all over. It's all over, and you're still asking questions and answers as well. So yes, how is it going?
Yes, so as I pointed out earlier, you need to recognize that Parliament exists to carry out oversight, to be a check on the executive. So people must understand, when we are carrying out our duties, often you hear some commentary and people speak as though, oh, he hates the president or he hates the MPP. I mean, it's nothing personal. It's not about hatred. It's not about emotions. That's my constitutional mandate.
Do those commentaries get to you?
I think I've developed a tough skin over the years. I've done, about 12, 13 years in national politics. So I'm no longer a toddler in national politics. So I think I've developed a tough skin. Though there are times that, as a human being, there are times that you pause and ask yourself, are you doing something wrong? But, I mean, the job has to be done. And we must encourage people who are bold, who are fearless, who understand their mandate, who want to hold the executive accountable. Because in the final analysis, it helps all of us. Take the current crusade that I'm on. I got a hint that when the president was invited for the Paris Africa Summit, he decided not to travel with the presidential jet, which I know is in mint condition, quite pristine condition, very good shape. He decided to travel with a jet, which is chartered. I then decided to dig up on exactly what was going on, because I knew that the president had decided to travel to other destinations. So he would go to Brussels and then go to Johannesburg in South Africa before returning to Ghana. So I knew that that would be quite a long tour, I think lasting him about 10 days. This is a long visit, and you have the opportunity of using the presidential jet, which is not only secure, because you use your own pilot from the Ghana Air Force, the Communication Squadron, which is one of the finest, very well regarded in the world. You have your benefit of your own crew. And most importantly, you save money. Then you have a president who decides that he would not use a presidential jet, which has been bought, is being maintained at taxpayers' money, and you make a lot of savings if you use that jet. Now, I know that the presidential jet, which is the Dassault Falcon 9G EXE, travels non-stop for 8 hours. Accra to Paris is 6.5 hours. So I know the president could have used this jet. So I was really surprised. So I decided to do some further digging. So I tracked the president's journey. And remember that I'm ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee. If I don't do it, who will do it? It's my job. I have to do it. If I don't do it, I'm letting the country down. I don't deserve the taxpayers' money being paid to me as salaries. That's why I've been sent to Parliament. That's why I've been elected. To make sure that I carry out my oversight duties. So I decided to track. In tracking, in digging, in monitoring, I realized that the president opted for the most expensive corporate jet anywhere in the world. Top of the range, Airbus ACJ 320 Neo. And this particular ACJ 320 Neo had just returned from Switzerland, where it had received the highest sprucing up, reconfiguration in the most fantastic and flamboyant style.
So you got all this on the internet?
Yes, and talking to sources in the aviation sector, some of these companies. Remember that the president hired a jet from a company called Acropolis Aviation. Acropolis Aviation is based in Farnborough in the UK. And I had to do some engagements.
So you confirmed from them that indeed the president
chartered it? Yes, I confirmed. And I got the specific registration number of that jet. And once you get that number, the registration number, which I obtained from the company, because in the spirit of transparency, you cannot deny a member of parliament who is seeking information to carry out his mandate. So I was able to know the particular aircraft. And once you know that, these days, if you have a particular app, you can even then track and follow all the miles, the route that the aircraft is doing. Now, having obtained that, I was able to also get a quote on how much it cost us. And I was told that minimum, what they don't go below, is £15,000 an hour because of that level of luxury. You are a president of a very, very, very challenging country in terms of economic development. I believe that God made us rich, but because of poor leadership, limited vision, we remain poor. Not because we don't have natural resources, we don't have the human capacity, but it's just because of leadership. Yeah. So if you are faced in this situation where at the time that you are embarking on this trip, we have crisis with energy, we have crisis with the water sector. Now, I maintain that the president broke his own pledge to us to protect the public purse. He betrayed the trust and confidence we had reposed in him when he did what he did. Because, first of all, the presidential jet is available for you to use.
You are very sure about that?
Yes, because I know that on the 11th of May, the president used the presidential jet to Uganda to attend the swearing-in of President Yoweri Museveni, and he returned on the 12th. He departed to Paris on the 16th. So within that period, I know that the aircraft has been in good condition. I've heard some government commentators also say that, oh, the president was advised not to use the presidential jet for long travel. And some say he shouldn't travel. I read something on your portal that Nana Kumia was saying that he was advised not to use it beyond 5 hours. But I have checked the radar. From Accra to Entebbe Airport in Uganda, it took the president 5 hours and 4 minutes. So it was more than 5 hours.
So if you don't receive any reaction, what do you do next?
So all these excuses don't wash. Yeah. And I maintain that the president had other options. If you don't want to use a presidential jet, he could have flown commercial. Thus, you travel first class. There are direct flights to France, Air France. There are direct flights to South Africa. I have been part of presidential delegations, President Mills, President Mahama, where they've flown commercial. That option is available, which will have been far cheaper to the taxpayer. Number two, if you insist on a charter, there are other aircrafts in the fleet. The same company, Acropolis Aviation, has other aircrafts, quite comfortable, quite luxurious, but you wouldn't be paying £15,000. It's not top of the range. So the president really had a choice to show that he was really being sincere with us when he said that, look, times are hard, let's all learn to live with their means. And you see, the irony is that the president made this trip to go to this summit, to go beg for debt forgiveness. We all heard him. He was the chief proponent of debt cancellation, debt forgiveness. Is that how you go and beg for debt forgiveness?
So in line of accountability, when you're not getting the responses that you're looking for, what next do you do? Are you going to take any other actions, or you're going to keep it as that?
So it is clear. It is clear that government has been exposed. They don't have any response. They cannot deny the information have put out, because we all know this government. We all know their effective communication strategy. If I had missed a number, if I had overstated the charge, or if I got the aircraft wrong, you know how they will have descended on me. It's clear that they are shocked at the level of detail and the level of information that we secured, which we have put out. And so government communication clearly is in 6s and 7s. They are dazed. They don't know how to respond. And some of the responses, I think, are tantamount to even insulting the Ghanaian people. I saw Hobson Adoye say that, do I want the president to use Aboboya, you know, and all kinds of, you know, ridiculous taunts at me.
We have to wait to see,
you know,
what's going to happen and see when they...
but what is clear is that the only salvation we have is in the urgent question I have filed in Parliament. So I have filed 2 questions in Parliament on this matter. One for the minister responsible for defense, and the other for the minister responsible for finance. So the former is a question seeking to know the status of the presidential jet. We have the right to know. It was purchased with taxpayers' money. It's being maintained with taxpayers' money. So the first question relates to the state of the presidential jet. And then the second question to the minister responsible for finance is demanding full disclosure on the finances, how much it costs the taxpayer. Because I have only put out the cost of rental, which is so £15,000 an hour. You multiply that by the 23 hours they were in the air. That gives you £345,000. At today's exchange rate, we are talking about 2.82 million Ghana cedis. That has not factored in many other incidentals, you know, like landing rights, for example, the crew. I know they stayed over in South Africa, hotel bills and all of that. So there's so many other incidentals that the figure I've put out is just the barest minimum. So we need to have full disclosure, and the minister responsible for finance has to present that.
Okay, so we need to have full disclosure, but we have to go on a break.
Okay.
We'll come back and we'll talk about North Tongu and also fix the country. And then we would also expect full disclosure, as we're saying. So this is a Lowdown. My name is Ismail Akwe. We'll be back after this break.
From the dawn of time, people have engaged in several businesses. With the onset of technology and innovation, life has relatively been made easier. By using debit or credit cards,
Mobile banking.
Thank you. And your favorite, mobile money?
tech has indeed married business. On BizTech, we spend time with faces behind known and upcoming businesses in the country.
Learn more about the new technologies and innovation,
as well as find out about the trending issues in the world of business.
Join us as we serve you with a variety of compelling interviews, projects and others right here on GhanaWeb TV.
Welcome back to the Lowdown. My name is Ismail Akwe and I'm speaking with Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. He's the MP for North Tongu, and already we're talking about the £15,000 an hour aircraft that was rented, and you made it clear that all you need is disclosure from the Ministry of Defense and Finance. But I have another question for you, and it's related to your constituency. Don't you think you did them a disservice when you resigned from the Appointments Committee of Parliament in March?
I do not think so. On the contrary, my chiefs and people are proud of the decision I took. Once I stated in my resignation letter to the Speaker that I did that on strong personal conviction and on principle. I mean, that's how they brought us up, to be principled citizens of North Tongu and of Ghana, where we feel strongly about a matter that we cannot be part of it moving forward. We need to make that clear and give way so that you are not consumed.
What was your reason, the real reason why you decided to resign?
So I gave an assurance to the Right Honourable Speaker and to my party leadership that I will not delve into the details at this point. And so I want to respect that gentleman agreement. I believe that at the right time, sometime later when I write my memoirs, I believe that I will shed light on that period. But I can tell you that my resignation was long in coming. There was a first attempt, even before the first round of votes, where we had Howard Kumsin and others sent to the floor. But I was prevailed upon at the time by elders of the party to stay in there and soldier on. But it got to a point that I just couldn't take it anymore. So I believe that at the right time, I will divulge the details, exactly why I had to take that difficult decision. It was certainly a difficult decision because I enjoy work on the appointments committee, and every assignment I'm given since I entered, national service, serving the people at the national level, I have given it my all, given it my best shot. And I can only wish my replacement well and wish the committee well in the interest of our democracy.
So the activism side of you is public knowledge. Everybody knows this. And we know you've been the NUC's president, 2005, 2006, and you've been with different pressure groups, and you've been very deep in all of these. And Fix the Country happened recently. And I'm sure everybody was looking at all the people in authority, in leadership, to see what they will say about this. And indeed, we saw some kind of basically approval from the minority in Parliament. And I don't know, what is there to fix in North Tongu that has not been fixed?
Yes, so first of all, let me commend the youth of our country for starting this very impactful. It's been really impactful, and it took cyberspace by storm, and they have made tremendous impact in terms of the buy-in and the followership that they have been able to garner, and see how they've been trending, and they continue to be in the trends for weeks upon weeks. I don't recall the last time in living memory that you had a movement dominate cyberspace, social media, and engage the attention of the nation like this group have done. And it was quite spontaneous, and so that's not something that you should ignore. I have said that this offers either an opportunity or it could be a threat. It could be an opportunity if leadership listens. And when I say leadership, all of us, members of parliament, ministers of state, the president, he must even listen more, because he is at the fountain. The buck stops with him, and he is in control of our national resources. So the onus more is on the president. But all of us in leadership positions also must take responsibility. But in recent years, it will appear that the youth have become very docile. And I recall that even as NUC's president in 2005, I authored a book called The State of Coma, where I argued that if you look at our glorious past, the youth of our generation have become too aloof. We appear not bothered. We have been distracted by all this entertainment and, things that don't really bother about national reconstruction, the development of our country. So I am pleasantly impressed with the consciousness and the reawakening that has suddenly come upon us. So that's why I say it's an opportunity. How can we, all of us, redirect all this energy, the changes that they are asking for? We must give them those changes, and it must be rapid. Now the threat, which is the other side of the sword, is that if we do not provide the right response in a timely manner, this can lead to an explosion, which we don't want. But it's not about just not wanting it. If you don't do right and act fast, it can lead to an explosion, because there's a lot of anger out there. The youth believe that there are just too many few opportunities, and even those few opportunities have been hijacked by the political elite. Cronyism and nepotism. So it's whom you know. It's all about those who are connected. We don't have a fair, egalitarian society where you don't need to know anybody to get a good job. You don't need to know anybody to be recruited into the armed services. So we must be guided by our history. We have seen what has happened elsewhere. The Arab Spring, it started in Tunisia, when the youth anger could not be managed. We've seen recently in Sudan, when the youth anger was not managed properly, how it led to a whole government. The strongman al-Bashir was toppled. And SARS, you saw what happened in Nigeria. So when the youth are agitated, are angry, your approach should not be to tell them to fix themselves. That is why I wrote an op-ed. I don't know if you read it, where I said that must not be the response. The youth must be listened to. And I drew lessons from history and said that we should be guided by our own history and the history of the world. There are factors that boil up and finally reaches such a crescendo. When that happens, what you need to do is first to calm tempers and to quickly offer a new paradigm in terms of your policy interventions. So I am expecting a certain recognition that, look, even if we are saying that, look, a lot must be fixed, attitudes are a problem and all of that, that cannot be compared to the onerous responsibility of leadership. I belong to the school of thought that says that leadership is cause, everything else is effect. The fish rots from the head. Look, we complain about the attitudes of the Ghanaian, that they will not be punctual and they would steal at work and they are always complaining and they are lazy and all the things we are saying about the Ghanaian. Take this same Ghanaian to the United Kingdom or the United States of America or France or Holland. We visit them. This same Ghanaian. Don't we hear other presidents, other ambassadors, other nationals talk about Ghanaians? So look, other Africans, when they even want opportunities, when they want to be employed, that's why our passports, as ranking member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, I can tell you our passports are the most sought after, the most compromised. Other nationals want to have our passports because it opens doors for you. Because Ghanaians have such a great reputation that they are punctual, they are kind, they are trustworthy, they are hardworking. All these positives. The same Ghanaian. So it should tell you that The problem really is with the kind of leadership and the environment that has emerged around that leadership. Look, who are the people we reward? It's all about cutting corners. So when people want to do the right thing, have the right attitude, do we reward that? We don't. That is why I will say that it will come back to leadership. Leadership must do introspection and must begin to do things right. I don't know why, for example, to get admission to secondary school, when we were at the Ministry of Education, we said no protocol, and we enforced it. No protocol. Recruitment into the security agency. Why should there be protocol? Look, and the last time we had to take, and it's one of the motions we have filed in Parliament, and one of the matters that we are pursuing, and my name is there. We are demanding a probe into how recruitments were done since 2017. They stopped advertising. It was being done secretly. These are the things that leads to the agitations that we are seeing, where people see that, look, there are no opportunities, the system is so squeezed and skewed in favor of just a few.
So right now the tensions have been doused. So unlike in Nigeria, in Tunisia, in Egypt, in Sudan, Ghanaians have, the tension has reduced right now, and we can see that leadership has taken the fight to Galamsey. And we're also seeing other speeches coming around to just keep the calm. We've seen some meetings with leaders of the Fix the Country group or the movement and all of this. Do you think leadership is doing the right thing right now?
I would say that leadership is beginning to wake up to its duties. The initial pushback was not good. This counter hashtags of fix yourself and all of that. And we are fixing it was not helpful. But I think that the calmer heads within the government seem to have taken over now, and they are offering some hope, and that's the trajectory to go. So I would say that the current approach is the way to go. However, it should not just be about talk. It should not just be about, look, there are many quick fixes. Many quick fixes. If, for example, the leadership of our country instructs that when it comes to even size of government, I have been complaining consistently about the number of presidential staffers. The Office of Government Machinery, it keeps bloating and bloating. Imagine how impressed the youth will be if there's a drastic reduction in the number of all these political appointees and all these political, hangers on. The youth will be impressed about that. Recruitments into the security agencies, let it be just transparent. No protocol, announce no protocol. And let it be transparent. And let everybody see. Everybody should follow the process that is transparent. National service placements, no protocol, is transparent. Where you apply is where you go. And these days software, you build your algorithm in a way that you just key in, and it is a fair and just software that you have created, and it selects the people. So there are low-hanging fruits. There are things that we can do now. I mean, if you import your vehicle, you are struggling to pay the duties. This business, I have never supported this business of confiscating cars of Ghanaians who are struggling and what they go through to be able to afford the cost of these vehicles. And anybody who is struggling to pay the duties, you should know that it's tough. Yeah. And then instead of giving them some space, some time to pay, it's quickly confiscated and sold even far cheaper than the cost of the vehicle and how much the person will have paid. Can't we abolish all these things? I have said, let's abolish all this and let's have a fair system. If you even will auction it so that publicly the youth, everybody who wants to have a stake can take part, bid fairly. So there are low-hanging fruits. There are quick fixes. There are things that we can do. if we get our priorities right, the president reduced the number of ministers. I believe he could have gone further, and those savings can be used on ensuring that our education sector, for example, our water sector, this no-bed syndrome, you have ambulances that will not move if they don't get a green light. I've told my ambulance department in North Tongu that policy will not work here.
I was really coming to that.
Just be on the move.
We have a few minutes to go, and I just wanted to pick your thoughts on the healthcare system, also education, because we've seen all these issues coming up about rights in the educational sector, even at the Deputy Minister of Education, and thankfully we got a court ruling which went in favor of the Rastafarian students, and it means Ghanaians are awake and they are taking the laws seriously by going to court. But the issue of protocol, you had an assembly member calling you to get an ambulance to get his son who was sick to the hospital, and you had to call some George and all of this. Isn't this the same protocol we're talking about? How and why is the system not working? And you are in a position of leadership. You could make a change, at least by your voice, your action, or anything like this. So what is happening, and what is there for you to do?
Yeah, so you've boxed a lot of very important issues together. Let me begin with education on the matter to do with the two Rastafarian students. I made my voice heard. I delivered a statement in Parliament, and I thought that Achimota School was wrong. I have a lot of respect for that school. I think it's an iconic school. It's produced lots of our presidents, President Nkrumah, President Rawlings, President Mahama, who was in Achimota Primary, and a lot of other greats. However, on this matter, they got it totally wrong. I do not see how dreadlocks affects discipline in any school environment. I do not see how, especially when Caucasians, white students, are allowed to keep their long hair. And I heard the Nagra president says, as for the whites, when they cut their hair, they look ugly. I mean, what kind of discrimination is that? It's just a backward mentality. So this business of going for an appeal and all of that, I'm totally disappointed. Is that the best use of the resources and the time that the heads and the board at Achimota School can do? So it is important to emphasize that these are public schools run with our taxes, and they must be accountable to the people. In my statement in Parliament, I called for new, broad-based policies across the spectrum that should guide school rules. There should be a minimum threshold, because you saw also what happened at Wesley Girls with the female student who wanted to fast, and parents had to withdraw the student. It tells you that we are not protecting minority rights very well, and it tells you that fundamentally we need to have a common agreement about what should inform school rules across the board. And I'm glad that I've heard the minister responsible for education say they are doing some work in that regard. They have to expedite action so that we'll have that. But I'm also worried about the state of free SHS, the level of congestion, the level of total confusion, the erratic nature of the timetable. It's clear that there's a need for a review of this policy. The framers of our constitution have been vindicated when they talk about progressively free education, where you target the needy, do a needs test. And those who cannot afford, support them. I do not understand for the life of me. How come somebody was in GIS, was at Association International, Morning Star, for junior high school, suddenly the person is ready for senior high school and they say he or she cannot afford. And so government must do everything. When clearly government cannot find the resources.
But the people love it.
To end double track, to provide. I mean, who wouldn't like free things when you can save up, some money to do other things. So, yes, the people love free, but the people don't just want free. They would like to love free with quality. Free that will not come with congestion, that will not come with all of these, health hazards, that has been associated with free SHS so far. So there's a need for a review, and there's a need for certain honesty too from government, because it's clear to me that government is struggling. A lot of the schools now are having to get PTAs to contribute, and you're seeing that for how many years now even textbooks cannot be provided. Basic lab, reagents. You go to the computer labs, you go to the dormitories. It's just a mess, and so we cannot continue on this trajectory. But what is clear to me is that we need to carry out a comprehensive review, which is what President Mahama proposed during the 2020 campaign, and surprisingly, review was then portrayed as cancel. You heard President Akufo-Addo then say, "Oh, they are going to cancel it," but it's clear that he's struggling, and now you are hearing the unions, you are hearing the missions, the heads, CHAS. They are all saying that, look, that review that President Mahama called for, it's time to carry it out, and I think that it should be done. Now on the matter with healthcare, look, let's face it, this no-bed syndrome is real. But it's not only about lack of beds and lack of facilities, it's also about a certain system, a certain management, which has not helped. Why do I say that? What will it take to have a dashboard, for example, where all the hospital administrators, medical practitioners can see at every point in time where there is vacancy at the hospital, where there's availability of beds? What does it take? A simple app?
So you are looking at having an integration of technology with the healthcare system.
Exactly. And policies that work. Why do you tell ambulance operators that they cannot move? Because my understanding of an emergency, if you take the case of the 12-year-old, it's an emergency. The hospital had earlier called 37 in the afternoon. They are ready. They've prepared the 12-year-old boy for the referral to be made. It's less than a 2-hour journey to Accra. Can't you just take the boy? This is an emergency. A second, a minute is crucial. Get the boy into the ambulance and move. When I engage with the ambulance operators, they say that the rule is that you must call and get a green light. So they were calling, waiting for their command center to give them green light. I mean, what kind of system is that? Policy? It's a killer policy. That must not be allowed to stay. It's a killer policy. As soon as the referral is made, the local hospital has called the local ambulance. Start the journey. After all, we all know the tertiary facilities are in Accra. Start the journey to Accra. And why should any hospital return a patient or ask an ambulance that, hey, you've come to the wrong hospital, no bed, go away? Haven't we learned lessons from this COVID era, where we have seen people being treated in vehicles, in stadia, they've converted? I mean, human life is valuable. Once lost, there's nothing you can do to bring it back.
Are you going to pursue this policy-wise?
Yes, there's a statement that we will be making in Parliament, the Honourable Sam George and I. We've tendered it in. We're waiting for the Speaker to give us a date.
Okay.
I mean, there are a number of these policies in the health sector that don't work. I'm also worried about how there seems to be a lack of an inventory of critical equipment needed at every point in time. Since I've been in Parliament, I have never seen any list coming from the Ghana Health Service or the Ministry of Health about critical equipment that we need. I became MP in North Tongu before my attention was drawn that the Bator Catholic Hospital, they've never had an incubator. So they use the kangaroo system when premature babies are born, using some cloth and just warm. I mean, it's a very, very archaic system which doesn't save lives. And a lot of preterm babies were dying. So I had to purchase 2 incubators for the Bator Catholic Hospital, the Children's Hospital. Then there was an issue at the Akuse Hospital. A constituent of mine who delivered the Siamese twins at Akuse Hospital. So I took interest in the matter. When I went there, I realized that they didn't have an incubator. And Akuse Hospital is probably more than 90 years old. No incubator. So how come we are missing out on all these critical? And I had to, by benevolence, buy a hospital, an incubator for the Akuse Government Hospital. It tells you that there is something wrong. There's something wrong. Yeah. So we need to have an inventory of certain critical equipment that we know that, look, within the next 2 years, the next 4 years, the next 5 years, we are going to provide them. Even before we start talking about Agenda 88, Agenda 111, and others that remain slogans. La Hospital, which we don't know when it will start now, after they brought down the old hospital. So I come back to leadership. Yeah. I come back to, simple policy interventions that we can make. Look, there's even an HR crisis now. The strike, which was upon us by this, the lab scientists. Yeah. These are all matters that with dynamic, forceful leadership, we can resolve in no time.
So basically the problem is leadership, the systems, policies, and those are the words of Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Time is not an ally, so we have to...
You didn't let me talk about my constituency.
Oh, your constituency. Okay, let me just give you a minute so that you talk about your constituency. Yes.
Yeah, so I've been rolling out a number of interventions in my constituency. We're currently working on the cement discount intervention, which is very popular for vulnerable groups, single mothers and the youth under 40. So they buy it for 35 cedis and I top up. And it's going very well. You know about the free cervical cancer screening that we have carried out with Dr. Ifai and co at the Cervical Cancer Screening Center at the Bator Catholic Hospital. You also know about the free textbooks that we've made available and supplementary readers for children of school-going age, particularly in this era where others are doing a lot of online studies. And in the rural areas, you know that connectivity is an issue, gadgets is an issue. So you make sure that you provide them with a lot of books. And I want to thank the publishers who are working with me and supporting these initiatives. I'm also particularly enthused about the program that we carried out to support key sectors. So the nurses, all our nurses, we provided them with laptops. All our SECU supervisors, we provided them with laptops. And then some of the doctors as well. And we are also making available ambulances. There's 2 additional ambulances that have arrived in the constituency. There's a whole new polyclinic, the Tagaji community, which we are raising with support from Catholics and other Western NGOs who are assisting us. So there's a lot of activity going on in the constituency. Yeah. And I can only thank the chiefs and the youth. I can only thank them for all the support that they have.
We also want to thank you very much for coming and giving us the lowdown on the lowdown.
Thank you.
My name is Ismail Okwe. This is the Lowdown. Catch us again next week. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.